Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by Brian Dunseth. Soccer guru. I don't even know how to explain. You used to be the guy I called games with, but you're calling games for Apple. You're doing national team games for TNT. You're in Mexico right now. What's your World Cup assignment? What are you doing? How are you pulling this off, Dunny? What are you up to?
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Good to be back. Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be a part of the World Cup coverage as a World Cup television analyst. And first couple of games down here, I had Sweden, Tunisia. Mm-hmm. Then they fired their manager. Then I had Tunisia against Japan. They probably still should fire the new manager. Then I'm going into South Korea against South Africa on Wednesday night. And then round of 32, which is projected to potentially have Netherlands down here in Monterrey, Mexico. And then off for July 4th, round of 32 in Philadelphia, which as of right now is projected Germany, France. So quite the time to be alive. I know plenty of times you and I had conversations about the penultimate goal of any soccer broadcaster is to be a part of these World Cup moments. Came up short on a couple occasions as a player. Came up short as an analyst back in 2018. But yeah, man, living the dream. Check the box, and yeah, it is an amazing city down here in Monterey, which I knew coming in, but confirmed very recently a sister city actually to Salt Lake City.
Oh, interesting to know. I did not know that. I'm fascinated by all this stuff as the team camaraderie and the cohesiveness and the togetherness and all this stuff. And you got Tim Ream, 38 years old. I think he's the captain, right? And he's crying on the field on Friday. And he has this quote, "I've told these guys that this is the most fun, special, enjoyable group that I've been a part of. There's something about this one that just feels different." Now, you've been in locker rooms. You've been on millions of teams and can speak to it and have friends and all that stuff. This camaraderie and this specialness, it seems to me that it's born out of winning. And if you're losing, you're not as tight. But if you win, you're super tight. And I'm fascinated. It's across the board in all sports. Name a sport, you can apply it in there. And yeah, it's like the chicken and the egg, though. What makes it? Is it the winning, or is it the camaraderie and the closeness and the specialness and the brotherhood and all that stuff? Or is that hooey, and the only way you accomplish that is through winning?
I think it could be a little bit of all, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, listen, I've been around this team since the moment that Mauricio Pochettino walked through the door. You know, with my coverage over on Turner and TNT, the business that Chuck and Shaq built, and having been around this group, I would say that there was a culture shift. And, you know, a lot of times we weaponize the word vibes. You know, vibes, great vibes around the team, great vibes. These guys, when they're together, vibes, they're great. They know each other. It's family vibes. But what changed was, I think Mauricio Pochettino and his coaching staff, you know, from him participating and wearing the crest of Argentina and being a part of the World Cup in 2002, you know, to be playing for clubs like PSG in France and have an incredible career that starts at Espanyol and goes to Southampton and goes to Tottenham Hotspur and then over to PSG and then to Chelsea and then coming here to the U.S. men's national team and tried and trusted his group. When you talk about Jesus and Mickey and Tony and everyone behind the scenes that probably don't get enough credit but are visibly behind them on the bench with them. You know, I go back to last year. And obviously the big hubbub over Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa not participating in the Gold Cup and electing to take time off to be fresh for this World Cup. For, you know, Tim Weah and Weston McKennie not being able to participate because of the FIFA Club World Cup in the Gold Cup that summer. along with Gio Reyna, who at the time was at Borussia Dortmund. I think what it afforded Mauricio and his coaching staff was an opportunity to have a cultural reset and allow guys like Tyler Adams, like Chris Richards, like Malik Tillman to have a bigger role in the team. And at the time, we thought Diego Luna was going to have a big role in this group as well. But what it did is I think it, by subtraction ended up with multiplication within the group. And I think there were new cultures set. I think there were new standards set. I think that there was expectations that were kind of reconstructed. And ultimately, there was very definitive lines that were non-negotiables for. And again, I'm trying not to, in any way, shape, or form, place any type of antagonistic pressure on those that weren't there. But I think the players that were there, they were able to create something very organic in a short amount of time, where Mauricio had his hands on this group of players, so to speak, or his boots on the ground, if you will, for the better part of 34 days. Whereas national team managers usually only have two full sessions with their players before they immediately go into game mode and play a game. And you're dealing with these guys traveling around the world and time zones and fatigue and, all of these things. So I think throughout all of this, and then, Christian goes down against Australia in October, is unavailable for the November friendlies. They end up beating Australia. They end up beating Paraguay. They end up absolutely demolishing Uruguay. And so it was one of these where now in that second half against Paraguay in that first game, they know how to play without Christian. The game against Australia, he's not available because of the calf injury. They know how to play without Christian. So he's still Captain America, but I would effectively say that Weston McKennie, Tim Weah, Tyler Adams, and Chris Richards are as important as leaders because now everyone looks at one another. And Tim Ream, to your point, because, the age is always going to be a number in football and soccer because we're talking about speed, we're talking about athleticism, we're talking about explosiveness, and can you stay with these young bucks that are flying around with their tails on fire? But, yeah, I think he's right. I think you're right. And I do think that in the midst of this, a little bit of havoc created a familial bond that right now we're seeing the best that we've ever seen this current group of quote-unquote golden generation players playing at. And I think they're hungry, and I think they're thirsty, and I don't think they're anywhere close to being done as they prepare for Turkey and Los Angeles for their next match.
I'm wondering how much optimism there should be around this team. It seems that most of the people are saying the optimism is because of the way they won these first two games, which they've never done. Yeah. I'm like, well, the tournament's bigger. They used to be drawn in with one of the top 8 teams in the world. Now they are one of the top 12, and the way the draw felt, they haven't played any of the top 20 teams in the world rankings in their group. So I don't really want to hear about that, and it's driving me nuts that everybody's running to that. But Dunny, the eye test, these guys are attacking, playing one-touch soccer. That's the U.S. beats teams with athleticism, and they run by them and all that. But like 3 or 4 guys connecting passes with only one touch, that's new territory for the U.S. That's impressive. So what do you think of this, and why do you think it? How good can they be? What's realistic?
Hey, PK, look at our boy over here. Look at our pessimist over here. I'm telling you, PK, the amount of times I had to listen to DJ and Kenny Neal tell me that the eyeball test wasn't up, my eyeball test wasn't up to snuff, because here's the underlying number.
I agree.
Here's why you should believe it. This is my DJ. I missed you, my man. Yeah, listen, you can only beat who's in front of you.
Right. Yeah,
and I think the most important thing that we've seen with this group is that there is God, what's the right way to describe this? There's a sense of urgency on both sides of the ball that I've never seen with this group. I've seen it in glimpses. I just haven't seen it from the opening whistle to the final whistle. And this is what we've seen in these first 2 matches. Even to the point where currently the group of guys that I work with on the broadcast for the World Cup as the television analyst, they're all English. I mean, these guys came off the Champions League final, the FA Cup final. I mean, the penultimate days of Arsenal lifting the trophy. This is the group that I'm with. And when we sat down and watched the game, it was almost like shock and awe. They couldn't believe, they were so impressed with the physicality of the defending, the aerial superiority that the U.S. has shown in the first 2 matches. And then on top of that, the urgency in which they're playing through the lines. They're not content with sitting back and dropping and keep. I mean, the other night against Australia, I was texting with some friends, and I was like, Australia's playing the way that we used to play. Thank God we don't play like that anymore. Thank God that we're the aggressor, that we're the one that, and I hate when people say it, on the front foot. Like, we're the one full throttle, 100% rock and roll, foot on the gas pedal. Let's go. And a lot of that has to do with the player profiles and the additions. I spoke with Tyler Adams before the game against Germany, where we saw a lot of glimpses of what this group was capable of doing. And he was like, listen, Dunny, Qatar, we were young kids. We walked in, we didn't know what we didn't know. And maybe there's a beauty in that. But now we understand how to prepare and what's expected. And to your point, there is a beauty with the expanded format in that it gives you an extra day, 2 days to prepare for these games. Yeah. So you're going to recover players a little bit quicker. But yeah, I mean, listen, we've also seen some shock and awe, right? We've seen what's happened with Spain. We're telling the stories of Curacao and Cape Verde and what they've done in these matches, and probably the perfect, bullet points and analogies for Gianni Infantino to celebrate the expansion of the World Cup. So I can understand your hint of pessimism, my good friend DJ, but I refute it as of right now because I'm going to enjoy it while we can enjoy it. But I think it does put a continued expectation and pressure because we as like American sports fans, it's like the Summer Olympics. It's like the Winter Olympics. It's like, the neutrals that turn into the Super Bowl for halftime commercials. How can you fall in love with a living legend in real time? And these guys, they want to be like the 94 boys. They want to be like the Miolas and the Alexis and the Balboas and the Hartseys and the Winaldas and the Tabs. Right. They want to etch their name in stone.
Yeah, and we look at playoffs and did you win it all? And, we're celebrating Jalen Brunson, the little guy for the Knicks, and he did it and won it all. So he's the toast of the sports world right now. And so we want the American team to go as far as it can. And can they win it all? And somebody said, well, yeah, I think they can. So that gets us all excited. And so I got my daughter who has and asked me like 3 soccer questions in her life last night. Are you watching the World Cup? Do you have to watch a World Cup for work? And I said, well, it's not the top of the list, but I certainly got to pay attention to what's going on with the Americans and so forth, and I want them to win and all. And so we want to see it. But I agree with you. Let's just maybe slow the flow here and see what it's about and get ready for the next match and the advancement and all. And then I read a quote from Tim Howard, who was known as the Secretary of Defense, and he was born in New Jersey just like I was, so we tend to tell it like it is. And he says, the U.S., I'm reading a quote, the U.S. will need to play the greatest game they've ever played 3 times in a row. Sorry, 4 games in a row. That makes it awful difficult if you have to be at your very best 4 times in a row to win it all. But that's like a team that's down 3-0 in the playoff. If you think, oh my gosh, we've got to win 4 straight, you're not going to do it. But if you think we got to win game 4, well, then there's a possibility. Maybe that's the mindset that this team has to have going forward.
Yeah, listen, I love Timmy. Timmy's a dear friend of mine, and I think he's correct. And you're right. He's New Jersey born has that little bit of Dutch in him, where you don't always ask the question if you're not really prepared for the answer, because you might get you're like, wait, what? Yeah, listen, I think that, DJ's been around me for a long time. And the one thing we've always really come back to is that, when I started in Major League Soccer in 1997, I was the youngest player to sign. I was 19. I was turning 20 when I was joining the team. I was 6 years younger than anyone else. And it was immediately clear that we were selling the sport. In 97, we were the Dick Butkuses of MLS soccer. We weren't getting paid the crazy money, but we were laying down the foundation of what the future looked like. And we understood we had a responsibility because of the 1994 team to continue to spread the gospel of soccer, the gospel of football. And coming up to Salt Lake City back in 2005 and recognizing this unique balance of the missionaries that were coming back as, leaving as football and baseball fans and coming back as, just in love with the game for the rest of their lives. Yeah. Passing this generation on to our kids. All of these guys recognize what their what they need to do. They understand their role very simply. They understand that they have to figure out a way to convince that everybody watching that this is a team to believe in. And similar to that conversation about our Olympics, where, these little guys that we've never heard of competing in these sports that we've never watched, that all of a sudden we can fall in love with them. And in these moments, please, please, please don't for a second not realize that these guys have been pressed throughout their entire careers over in Europe as they continue to kind of and there's a pressure, and I've been there, and it was a smaller pressure, but even being in Sweden and being the only American, the moment that you walk through that door, the first thing I think was, well, yeah, they can compete. Yeah, it's a never say die mentality. Yeah, I mean, they've got a good competitive background, but they're not soccer players. And that's the first thing that you have to fight. And all of these guys, in the back of their minds, understand that the game in hand is the game in hand. But they're also playing for the legacy of all the rest of us Americans that have tried to prove with that little tinge of insecurity that we don't all that we're not just good enough to belong, that we're good enough to compete, we're good enough to win. And so I can't tell you how many times when I've worn that crest and the U.S. logo is over my left chest and I've walked onto the field against Mexico or Germany or England or Italy or Chile or Spain, and these guys are like, look at those $300 boots. Look at that crispy, white, nice Nike jersey. I am going to lump you up and down the field. How dare you think you're good enough to play? And, we keep our heads down and we fight, and the grit and the determination and the never say die mentality that we grew up with in Americana sports. That's where we try to prove ourselves. So they understand, and to Timmy Ream's point initially to your quote, it's not lost on them that, yeah, as much as it is about the team and as much as it is about their legacy, it is about taking another big step forward. Because insecurely, as soccer fans and former players, we've tried to constantly tell you that we're better than what you think we are.
Yeah.
But now these guys are actually having the opportunity to show it.
Right.
There are no two people in this market better at mocking me than you two. I reluctantly...
I think it's encouraging you.
I reluctantly let you two come together. And the funny thing is, PK thinks I'm too positive, and you think I'm too negative, Dunny. And I just really want to underline this point with this team. The thing I'm positive about with this team is the eye test. The fact that they've beaten a couple teams that aren't ranked in the top 20 in the world doesn't make me go gaga over them. But what you just said about going
Radio
Gaga? Radio Gaga. About going to Europe, and then you got the $300 boots, and they're like lumping you up and down the field. This team doesn't play like Australia. This team can the argument, well, the U.S. will be good at soccer when our best athletes play. No. It'll be good when our best athletes play from the time they're 3 and they can instinctively make the ball do whatever they want. And we'll be done with big, heavy, clunky touches where the ball gets 6 yards in front of you and gives the defender all kind of space to come in and wreck you and win the ball and go the other way. And now we have a guy whose dad played in the NFL at a very high level, who's been playing soccer his whole life. There have been guys who are good as athletes as him, but he's got this whole skill level. And when I see these one-touch passes and they're making the ball do whatever they want, that's when I start thinking, well, maybe these guys can walk on the field with Spain and France.
Yeah.
Maybe they can walk on the field with Argentina. I mean, I don't think so because I've never seen it, but for the first time, maybe I better start considering it.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll just reach out to Jake, PK, when we need to bring DJ back down.
You need to rein me in.
We need to pull him back down, put his feet on the ground. Listen, I would agree with you. And I want to make it very clear, this team will suffer. This team will come up against teams that are more than capable of possessing the way that we've seen from France or the way that we've seen from Argentina. But again, I think there's been a formulaic approach from Mauricio Pochettino and his coaching staff to help them be as well-rounded as necessary. Do I think they're going to win the World Cup? I mean, no. I don't think they're going to win the World Cup. Do I think they have an opportunity to advance and take down a couple of big dogs on the way? Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, my prediction from the beginning, it was France-Argentina was going to be a replication of the final here in the U.S. and what we saw with Qatar. I just think they're too deep as long as they stay healthy. But again, my hopes, my dreams, my wants, I would just use a simple reference back to, Bruce Arena and the Torsten Frings handball in 2002 off the line, Greg Berhalter header. If VAR was available then, we're off into the, semifinals of a World Cup. So you need luck, you need creativity, you need ingenuity, you need the right mentality, and a little sprinkle of some special sauce somewhere along the way.
Yeah. Well, Dunny, we appreciate it. Congratulations on all the World Cup assignments. I wonder why I hadn't heard from you. You're traveling internationally.
I was keeping it dark, my man. I was telling Jake I was waiting to post until the very end, but yeah, it's been an amazing experience. Luckiest kid in the world.
Sure.
All right. Well, congrats on that. Thanks for taking a few minutes out to join us, and good luck on the next game.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Right. There's Brian Dunseth, former Real Salt Lake player and broadcaster, now calling World Cup games out of Monterrey, Mexico, and eventually Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All right, DJ PK, we got to take a break. When we come back, everything you missed in this show next. Stay with us.
Overwhelmed? That was me with diabetes. Hey, I'm Jabron. Between teaching and coaching, managing diabetes felt like an extra job. With the Freestyle Libre 3 CGM, I get real-time glucose readings and have the insights to make informed decisions. My life feels lighter now. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. The NBA draft is tomorrow night. And this morning, twice during the show, PK has said, pointed, look at that. And ESPN's had a headline, Giannis trade coming before tomorrow's draft. Your gut instinct, PK. My gut instinct says Milwaukee's holding an auction. And this is a notice. Leaking this is notice that, hey, get your final bids in.
So you really like Giannis, right? You're a Yanni guy.
I do like Giannis, and he's had a great career, but I suspect someone's about to overpay for him. He has not.
Isn't that the way it is? A player like him?
It is. Yeah, I agree. And it is.
What do you mean overpay, though?
It's pretty risky because he hasn't been able to stay healthy and stay dominant, and he needs to be on the right kind of team to win. When they won. David Locke was using an example. Do you want a player who's...
it's ballpark.
Yeah, ballpark. Do you want a player, Locke was saying, do you want a player who's good for 44 minutes or do you want the player for the last 4? Well, Giannis is built for the first 44. Not a great free throw shooter, doesn't have a lot of faith. We've seen him play hot potato with the ball at the end of close games in the playoffs. And when they won, Chris Middleton was at the peak of his powers and hit a lot of big fourth quarter shots.
Chris Middleton.
I know. Role guy, and yet
Drew
that
Holiday,
and yes, also, and those two guys were the perfect combo with Giannis to get it done one time, and
one time is good enough,
especially in Milwaukee where they hadn't done it for 50 years. Boston and Miami, do they have the right pieces to go around him? Because he's not.
Yeah.
Well, what are they giving up? Is it going to be Brown?
Well, he wants out for some reason, so they're not going to give up Tatum.
Then why isn't the deal already done? Because how can Miami top?
They want to auction it. As
I know,
you said.
but how can Miami top Brown? Because I'm
individually, probably not.
Yeah,
I'm going to go on one individual guy.
I'm a Brown. I'm a big fan of Jaylen Brown.
You're a white guy. Don't tell me you're a brown guy.
I'm a big fan of Jaylen Brown. I'm a brown guy.
No, you're not.
Jaylen
brown people. I know what brown people are.
Jaylen Brown.
Brown people are a friend of mine.
Jaylen Brown. You probably haven't seen the early episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, love
but
it's not.
There's an early episode, the first couple. Holy cow. I just don't see how Milwaukee can get anything better than Jaylen Brown. Now, maybe the deal will come out, and they will.
Well, if you're talking about an individual player, I get it.
But the total package to have more value than that.
Which is largely dependent on the individual player. I just find it funny that Antetokounmpo is a 28% career three-point shooter, and we're going nuts on A.J. Dunseth.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
I was surprised when you said that you didn't think he would shoot better than 36%.
Well, that's not a negative. You act like that's a negative.
I don't see why he can't become a better shooter and shoot 37%.
I don't care.
Okay. Well, you didn't say that, but you only had yes or no. But since when do you follow the rules? Locke demanded a yes or no out of you.
Well, Locke always takes control.
He does. So, it becomes the David Locke show with DJ and PK.
Right. It's like Joe Ingles. It was his show. So he asked a question, and it was a yes or no answer. I had to give him an answer.
I know, but you could have said, I don't care.
But that wasn't the answer. That wasn't the question, I mean.
Yeah, the answer will be what you make it be because you're Patrick Kinahan from New Jersey.
I mean, I just look at other aspects of the game. And I think Dunseth can help you win as much as the other guys can that are in contention for that number 2 pick. And yeah, I think he'll get better. But I was basically the proverbial gun to the head, yes or no. But I really don't care. It's like what Tommy Lee Jones said to Harrison Ford when he was about to jump off.
Great scene.
Blah, 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 blah. I don't care.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
Right. I don't really care.
I'm a U.S. Marshal. I'm essentially a bounty hunter. I got to bring you in.
Yeah.
Someone else to decide whether you did it or not. I got to bring you in.
Yeah. So whether he shoots 36, 37, 38, I don't care. I'd still take him.
Epic scene if you haven't seen that.
Oh, well, everyone's seen that movie, haven't they?
Everyone our age, I think, has seen it, but I think sometimes
it's on television all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
I always.
I am surprised when I talk to my kids, or well, not so much my kids because I've had them watch a lot of the classics, but their friends don't necessarily know.
Well, it's a good mystery movie. Plus, you get a few minutes of Sheila Ward.
Nice.
I don't like the way you said nice.
I know. That's why I did
That
it.
was not, no.
I know. That's why I did it. Did it get a laugh
See,
or
but
not?
I can throw that stuff out.
No, it was more like a
but
cringe.
You get creepy.
Yeah.
That was not laugh worthy. That was
nice.
Yeah.
Except he laughed.
As my friend's wife would say, perv.
Have you heard that for the last week up in Jackson Hole?
It's not her.
Oh, not that friend.
So no, you played golf with him. Yeah, she had a little shoulder surgery, and she showed us her scar. Mm-hmm. And I go, let me see that again. And I go, I can't, a little lower. She lowered it. A little lower. And then Donna, oh, you perv. But I thought it was funny, and I know him well enough that I could get away with it.
1, 2, 3. What do you think right now? You get to change. You'll read. I know
Peterson,
you're watching.
Dunseth, Boozer.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll watch a bunch of stuff, and we'll come in and see if we feel different tomorrow.
I don't know that I agree with. I don't necessarily disagree, but I certainly don't know that I agree with Locke, and I respect his knowledge as much as you do. Maybe you a little bit more because you're into the numbers. That where he says, from where they are now to the ceiling, that gap is lowest for Peterson. I don't know.
I totally understand that.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Oh, really? I think that's why he was the number 1 pick.
I understand that,
But he threw them, and I get he threw the wrench into the whole game plan here because he's protecting the money. And I totally agree with you that that's what drove that advice and why he sat, and then it gets in your head, it becomes its own thing and spins out of control. And that's the only reason I think we're having this. If he had played in college, I think he'd be the number one pick. I don't think he did anything on the court between the sidelines and the baselines that would call into question him being number one.
I just think when you're doing everything all the time, like you do at the pro level compared to the college level, everyone can get better. And as he gets stronger, these kids are still young lads.
They are.
And they can get much stronger. Even if you've got a ready-made body, you can still get stronger to have the wear and tear.
Shaq had a ready-made body, and he got bigger and stronger. Now, eventually got too big.
And I think that the shot making is the holy grail. As Kevin Young says, he's the best shot maker.
Yes. And he'd be the number one pick.
And Boozer's a great scorer and all that, and I love the guy too.
The drama
I've been watching Boozer for 2 years, 3 years.
The drama of Peterson sitting on the sideline is the only reason I think we're having a discussion about number one.
I understand that, but I think that was different from what he was saying. He was saying he still has not the lowest ceiling, but the smallest gap. I don't know that I agree with that. Now, that could also be taken as a compliment, is because you've accomplished so much and you've already shown it. That's why. Yeah, but that's why we're going with Wilson has such a big intrigue, because he came from out of nowhere, so to speak, compared to where these guys started
Dunseth,
from.
who was Mr. Basketball in Massachusetts in the 9th grade.
Right.
Like, people are already looking at him at 14, so they must have thought he was really good at 12 and 13, because at 14 they thought he was off the charts.
Yeah. Right. So I would caution myself. I want to see them all, obviously, but I think Peterson
who's the
could
smallest
still
gap between the is it Boozer, you think?
Not necessarily. I don't know that there is such a thing. There may be a dead heat. I don't know how you can predict that, how you can forecast that. I think which is fine, because I think it's largely on feeling and emotion and eye anyway. I don't necessarily know that there's any numbers or analytics that can back that up.
I don't think there is.
So it is emotion. It is sports radio talk. So I don't criticize anybody to do that.
I think it's way beyond sports radio talk. I think this is one time where sports radio talk and the real front office discussions come together, because I think for those guys, it's
those
a lot
are
of
over
that.
there.
They are, but
we're here in our venue.
But it's the same kind of thing, and I don't think you can know.
No, you can't. But
that's why guys.
Right, but I wasn't talking about them.
Yeah.
If you want to say them, fine. We were talking about it on sports radio. I don't think that it's a knowable quantity. I think it's an unknowable.
I think it's just unknowable to know what an 18 or 19-year-old is going to be like and doing at the highest level of sports at 28 or 29.
I think what we've seen, athleticism is important and it's great to have, but it's like, do I need 25 million or do I need 30 million? Because if I got 25 million, I'm pretty good and I'm okay. And I think Boozer, we've seen that lack of athleticism on the NBA level is not the ultimate detriment. I don't think Towns is overly athletic, but he's a really good player. And obviously Brunson isn't. And as he tells you, they can't judge my heart. Nobody can judge my heart. And I know what I have. And we saw it. Now everybody knows it.
Yeah. So just to use Brunson, who's quite the outlier to begin with, but just to use him as this cautionary tale about what you think you know and what everyone thinks they know. The fact his dad had the ties to the Knicks organization and got him there, I mean, you just can't underestimate how important that is.
It's like Hayward and Stevens to Boston.
Right. But even his dad didn't think he could be the best player on a championship team and be the guy who went out and got 45 in the clinching game and had the ball in his hands all the time. So it's like his biggest believer was, in a way, still an unbeliever.
At that level.
At that level, right. And so when I hear Brunson say, detractors and no one believed in me, I'm like, including your dad, who believed in you more than anyone on planet Earth and helped engineer you to New York, and even he didn't believe. And he made it happen. because it looked like the best option at the time, right? This will move us forward. It's a classic, the game plan you like. I'm like, just keep making yourself a little better. Now, a lot of times that'll drive you into the cul-de-sac and you'll get stuck, but sometimes it takes you across the finish line. And you just don't know. And now, in this draft tomorrow night, we're going to expect people to know. And we'll go back and redraft it 5 years later. And inevitably, it'll be wrong because, as you pointed out correctly, we've never had the Grand Slam draft where the top 4 guys all turned out to be awesome. Locke was saying, man, if you can get one guy who's an MVP and another guy who's a top 20 player, another guy who's a top 40 or 50 player, that's a great draft.
Right.
The LeBron draft was a great draft. It was a great draft. He went 1. Darko was a bust at 2. Carmelo was 3. He scored a gazillion points, but I think he only won like 3 playoff series in his career.
Right.
Bosh at 4 and Wade at 5. Well, they end up together, 1-4-5, win a championship. That's a really strong top 5. We'd still redraft it differently. Darko obviously didn't belong anywhere near the top 5.
Yeah, I think it was those are good players, those other guys, but it's LeBron.
LeBron. And you have the star at the top of the draft. And that was your point earlier in the show, and if you missed it, you can go back and listen. Like, in the last draft, we knew Cooper Flagg was the star, maybe not LeBron, but in the LeBron-type role. You know, Victor Wembanyama 3 years ago. But those drafts didn't have guys who looked so promising at 2, 3, and 4. And then more guys at 5, 6, 7, 8 who are still intriguing. And come on, you're intrigued by Acuff. Has Calipari found another guard?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's 6'2", and, you know, and the Illinois kid, okay, he's still got to develop.
He's taller.
But, yeah, and he's
more of a project.
He's shown somebody he's a little bit of a project. You know, how are they top 50
He's a late developer.
Are they top 50 players? Are they top 25 players, you know?
Don't know.
This draft could have a lot of that.
Yeah, when you're projecting ceilings, I think it's a guesstimate.
Yeah. But isn't everything in life? I mean, we're sitting here at 20.
I don't think
we're
LeBron,
sitting here
I
in our
don't think
25th year. We thought you and I both thought we would do a good show. But we didn't think we'd be here in 25 years. You don't get to see the future like that. Honestly, even on day one, if they said we'd be here in 10 years, 10 years in radio, who the heck knows? Stations get sold and people with new visions come in and want to do their own thing. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah, but when they dream of good radio, they dream of me.
There it is.
Dream a little dream of me.
That's why engineering's got it cranked up down there. They're just hoping you sing. Got it cranked up.
And apparently you're not done with me yet. We'll have the next few days or so.
All right, DJ and PK, there you go. That's a lot of what we've been talking about. Brian Dunseth on the World Cup, David Locke on the draft, Bob Casper on the U.S. Open. A lot going on this time of year. You can hear those interviews wherever you get your podcasts. Download them, listen to them. Oh, a new thing this weekend. I ran into a guy. He's like, I love your show. And he was going to keep going. I thought he was going to say, you know, I listen every morning, right? We've heard that. He goes, I go to sleep to you guys on YouTube every night. See? It's a new era. Who knew when we started it would come to this?
Yeah, there's a line or two I could use, but I'll pass.
Probably for the best. When we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard. Ice Cube's Big 3 is back. The most competitive basketball league on earth is on CBS this Saturday. Big 3 All-Star Dwight Howard and the LA Riot take on Greg Monroe and the Dallas Power. Then Coach Rick Mahorn, Sensation Nazir Kaur, and the Detroit Amps look to protect home court against back-to-back MVP Michael Beasley and the defending champs Miami 305. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and catch replays on BET.
Oh, yay, yay! Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
Join Jake and Ben at JCW's an American Fork for the NHL Draft Roundtable, Friday 2 to 6 at 580 East State Street. We're going to have an NBA Draft Roundtable and an NHL Draft Roundtable. Tuesday for the NBA, Friday for the NHL. We'll be in South Jordan Tuesday, and then 580 East State Street.
Yeah, the one down in American Fork on Thursday, and then Bear got extended a year in his contract.
Bear did get another year tacked on, so he's signed up for 2 years now. Question of the morning, draft week is here. What is your gut instinct? Ben, my gut says Peterson, but I think the Jazz might go for Boozer because they see potential character issues with Peterson. But I can also see the Wizards taking Peterson, in which case it's a no-brainer. The Jazz take AJ. I think the Jazz board has AJ 1, Boozer 2, Peterson 2B. 2A and 2B might as well be 2 and 3. What's the difference?
Well, I think he's trying to make a point that it's close, but yeah, I get your point.
I think it's all close. That's why we're still having these discussions.
Which is just great for us and our business.
Fact. Gary says, my gut says the Wizards take AJ and the Jazz take Cam. Not because they don't like DP, but because they can't really miss with either. Might come down to perceived culture fit. Perceived culture fit. That sounds deep. What culture fit?
I don't know that that's as big of an issue. Now, obviously, for Peterson, potentially a little. The other two guys seem to be fine. And in culture, DeBonsa, that's what's cool about DeBonsa. He was willing to come across the country when nobody in his stature has ever done that. And he fit in like he was a Utah County resident, basically. You know what I mean?
A lifer?
Yeah. And it seemed like it was seamless. And so I think he's adaptable. Plus, he, at his young age, is basically a man of the world. He has been all over the place.
Okay, but isn't Peterson like that?
Well, they got this deal here we didn't play. I'm saying it's just a little...
That's it. It comes down to...
He went to Kansas. Everybody goes to Kansas.
But he also... So he grew up... I
understand.
High school in Ohio, West Virginia, and Napa, California. And then he goes to Kansas.
Well, all those guys, it doesn't seem like they go to your local high school. It's not the world in which they live.
But nonetheless, he's been all over the country to do it.
Right, but DeBonsa still went to a place where nobody has been with what he brought. Whereas Kansas, that's a much safer pick.
Yes, it is.
And that's not. I'm not taking anything against that kid. I'm just saying I don't think DeBonsa, with the culture and the fit and all that, I don't think that's even a slight issue.
Scott says, I believe we will either take Darren Peterson to 2 or trade down to 3, get the 16th pick and maybe an asset, and then draft Cameron Boozer. I'm scared to death that we take Boozer at 2, and it's obvious he's third on most teams' draft boards. Don't screw it up, front office.
Oh, yeah, but I don't care what they think. That's like recruiting. Most teams' draft boards is what you see in the individual. The Utah football program has built a program of renown basically on what the coaches see.
True story.
Yeah. And
see something, bring him in, coach him up, and watch them take off.
There's been so many. The list couldn't even begin to name them all, the dudes that are on that list, right? No way. So I'm not as worried about what somebody else thinks, because how do I know they're right?
You don't.
Right.
When people are right, it's usually a slam dunk, and lots of people figure it out. The rest of the time, super cagey, hard to know, and sometimes people are right and they don't even know they're right.
Yeah, and plus
Denver
those
was
guys,
right to get the Joker in the second round, but they didn't know.
Not to that level. There's no way. I don't have personal relationships. I've got some relationships with these guys over here, and I've got track records. In the case of one particular person, 20 years, where I've talked with him, and I trust his instincts in the game.
DJ PK, we're all done. Coming up next, Scotty G and the coach Tim Lacombe. Stay with us.
Ice Cube's Big 3 is back. The most competitive basketball league on earth is on CBS this Saturday. Big 3 All-Star Dwight Howard and the LA Riot take on Greg Monroe and the Dallas Power. Then Coach Rick Mahorn, Sensation Nazir Kaur, and the Detroit Amps look to protect home court against back-to-back MVP Michael Beasley and the defending champs Miami 305. The game played the way you love. Watch live Saturday on CBS at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and catch replays on BET.
Oh, yay. Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.